Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm here with an interesting video of a sister. Now in this video you will see a t-shirt written Black Lives Matter to advocate for the war which is ongoing between Israel and Palestine. The concern of a sister and most of the people is why black people are being involved in this again. Now this has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or black people. It is not related to black people on either sides of the situation. So why should they use the Black Lives Matter t-shirt? Here's a video of a sister expressing her disappointment in this.
My question is, how did we get into this? What could we have possibly done in this situation to deserve this? And by we, I do mean black people. This don't have nothing to do with nothing with Black Lives Matter, black people, nothing. But yet Black Lives Matter is what you put on a shirt for what? Why? What did we do? This is not relating to black people on either sides of the situation. How did we get into this? It's like y'all will always find a way to blame black people. Always. But you know what? I just thought about it. I completely understand why black people got into this. It's because y'all dehumanize black people so much that when it comes to dehumanizing people of other ethnicities, you automatically add them to blackness. That's what it is. Because seriously, girl,
I really feel there's no need of involving us black people or the Black Lives Matter movement in all of this. It's so disappointing. Like, there have even been a number of posts about this on different social media platforms. Why is it that black people are hated so much that when it comes to dehumanizing other people of ethnicities, they automatically add them to blackness? I'm sure different people reacted to this, so let's check out these stitches, and when I come back, I share my 2 cents on this. Here are the stitches.
At some point, I have to stop getting surprised when I see stuff like this, but this is just a little too crazy. It looks like the Black Lives Matter movement just outed themselves as wannabe terrorists with murderous and destructive fantasies on their mind. This was posted on Instagram by the BLM grassroots page and then reposted by BLM Los Angeles, and this was a tweet posted by BLM Chicago. Now let's look at these in detail. This is the beginning of that first post. You should pause to read it, but it's in this next part where things get a little dicey. Let's just read through it together. We too understand what it means to be surveilled, dehumanized, property seized, family separated, our people criminalized and slaughtered with impunity, locked up in droves, and when we resist, they call us terrorists. We too dream of a world where our people may live freely on decolonized land. It's a bit odd to bring up decolonization considering some of the tactics that Hamas is using to decolonize the land of Israel. I wonder if they also dream of using those same tactics for decolonization here in America. I guess we really don't have to speculate much because here is what the official BLM Chicago page tweeted out. That's it, that's all. I stand with Palestine, with the picture of a paraglider. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Hamas terrorists that attacked that music festival in Israel, causing utter mayhem and killing over 260 civilians, came in as paragliders. So this is the Black Lives Matter movement, supporting a brutal and unforgivable terrorist organization while also claiming to have similar dreams and aspirations to them. Now, BLM Chicago has since deleted this tweet, so maybe that was them retracting those barbaric implications. But then they made it their Facebook cover photo, just to let everyone know that they weren't retracting a damn thing. What the hell is going on?
by we, I do mean.
I'm gonna tell a lot of y'all something. You don't even see it, but it's been happening ever since. That's when you lost being able to talk to black folks about this shit. That's when that bullshit came out, we were done. Because understand, a lot of you that are pro-Israeli government, you allowed the rhetoric coming out of that government to make you act like you ain't got fucking sense. Y'all took the actions of one chapter of Black Lives Matter that isn't even related to Black Lives Matter Global. And you did the same thing we have been telling you white conservatives have done about black people in 60 fuck years. They take the actions of a few and label the rest of us. Y'all did the same thing. That's when y'all lost us. That right there. The very moment Y'all bought into that bullshit, we were done. There is nothing you can say to us. Oh yeah, sure, you still have your Coonesians. Tap dancing and pat me on the head. But the rest of us, we're good. Y'all were vocal about the shit. I'm not gonna support Black Lives Matter. So in other words, you just became the All Lives Matter crowd except the Palestinian lives. And apparently Black lives. We've been telling you for decades. Our leaders have been telling you. Our activists have been telling you. On television, we've been telling you. On radio, we've been telling you. And we stand in solidarity with those people who've had that happen to allies. Y'all were hanging around for the talk. And then something touched you. Something that quote unquote matters to you. And you showed there's going to be a lot of mea culpas coming up. Keep them to yourself, please. Do not try to apologize for past actions. We don't want to hear it. We don't. Y'all lost a lot of us the moment y'all started to show yes. When an Israeli newspaper can print headline that says, hey, Black Lives Matter, Israel can't breathe. That's a spit and a slap in our face. We ain't see no goddamn murals to George Floyd in Tel Aviv, but we damn sure saw him in Gaza. We telling y'all, those of us who have known about this situation going on for decades, we have told you we stand in solidarity with any people who are feeling the boot of oppression. Y'all were good with it until it touched you.
Now, I would like to share an article which I think is one of the reasons why Black people are being involved in this Palestine-Israel war. It is entitled Black Lives for Palestine, U.S. Activists Find Common Cause. Now, it reads, marching in Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 was the first time Annie Eliza Canning-Skinner experienced what solidarity is. She says fast forward 3 years and the 28-year-old has been a regular on the streets of New York, marching in support of Palestinians as Israel's aggression on the Gaza Strip hits the 1 month mark. Canning-Skinner is one of thousands of demonstrators across the United States who've turned out for protests, with appeals including a ceasefire in Gaza and an end to U.S. funding of the Israeli military. And increasingly, demonstrators stateside are drawing clear connections between the Palestinian and Black liberation movements. At a recent protest in Brooklyn, Canning-Skinner, a Black woman, marched alongside fellow protesters who hoisted signs with messages including Black Lives for Palestine and White Silence is Violence. It all correlates, Canning-Skinner told AFP. The historical roots of solidarity between Black organizers and Palestinians run deep, but both activists and scholars say events in recent years have crystallized the parallels for protesters. In terms of doing the kind of ideological work to convince people that Palestine is an issue that they ought to take up, I think Black Lives Matter has been tremendously important. There are more people out in the streets, and that is definitely a result of the kind of organizing that Black activists have been doing alongside Palestinian groups and organizations. Dating back to the 19th century, some Black nationalist thinkers found inspiration in the Zionist cause for a Jewish state, seeing an analog of their own vision for a Black homeland. But with the mid-20th century emergency of the Black power and anti-war movements, it became much more common in African American activist circles to understand the Palestinians as an oppressed people, explained Sam Clark, an African American studies historian focused on decolonization. The 1967 war marked an important turning point, he said. Nothing the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, a major organizing force during the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, published a primer that took a really strong pro-Palestinian stance. It described a kind of shared condition of oppression and occupation among African Americans, Palestinians, and a kind of global colonial community. Decades later, the 2014 police unaliving of Michael Brown in Ferguson triggered mass protests over racism and state violence as the Black Lives Matter movement started gaining national attention. That same summer, Israel launched a 7-week military campaign against Gaza. Seeing these two things happen simultaneously solidified that these were united struggles for many activists, historian Ida said. We saw a kind of flurry of action and dialogue between protesters in Ferguson as well as Palestinians in Gaza, sharing tactics and strategies and stories of repression and resistance to oppression. The 2020 police unaliving of George Floyd even further galvanized anti-racism efforts in the United States, sparking an enormous protest movement. Once more, Palestinians posted advice online on how to deal with tactics deployed by riot police, including rubber-coated bullets and tear gas. For Clark, it's hard to imagine the current protests in the United States reaching their current scope without BLM. It's certainly not the only factor, he said, but I do think it's an important one. Several recent demonstrators interviewed by AFP drew connections between Israeli law enforcement and U.S. police in particular, pointing to programs that see U.S. officers train alongside Israeli counterparts. Prior to the current war, Israel already had been carrying out stepped-up military raids, some including deadly force against civilians. Clark pointed to a clear shared visual language that people can see when Israeli security services are brutalizing Palestinian civilians that Americans have become very familiar with, from the scenes of white police officers committing acts of violence against African American civilians. Such factors can help explain in part why American public opinion on the Palestinian cause, particularly among young people, has warmed in recent years in a country whose governmental support for Israel is unwavering. Clark said the uprising over George Floyd and the BLM activism that preceded it has shifted the Palestinian conversation for many black activists, but also more broadly among younger Americans of all races. He pointed to growing activism on the left among anti-Zionist Jewish groups, including Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now, both of which have taken a strong organizing role in recent weeks. Let's now take a look at a few comments from people. This one says, as a Palestinian, I'm so sorry that your incredible movement and people are getting hit for this. We are inspired by you so much. Liberation for all. The cartoons I've been seeing are shocking. Maybe I was being naive. You know why? It's because we are black, and if we don't stand for YT, then we are the problem. We aren't in this one, but they still drag us into this. How? Alright, we have come to the end of the video. Don't forget to share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.